Welcome back. This is going to be part B and part C of the Unit 4 BTEC Level 3 Computer Programming coursework. So for part B, we have to design a software solution to meet clients' requirements. And for part C, we have to develop a solution to meet client requirements. So what design is, I think I have it here. So design is the plan. So this is what you intend to do. So a plan is what you want to do, what you intend to do. Development is the actual doing based on what you said. So if I said, I plan to walk home at 5:30 p.m. this evening, so me developing that is me actually walking home at 5 p.m. this evening. So normally we have architects who design and we have engineers who do. So again, architects design, engineers typically do. So what will we use? I'm going to be using the specification for Unit 4, the assignment brief. I'm going to be using Google. For the programming part later on, I'm going to be using Python. For the designing part, actually, I think PowerPoint is probably your best bet because most schools will have it. It's very easy to use and you don't have to faff around with other stuff. There are other tools you can use. For example, there's one called draw.io, which is very good. It's free. You can create amazingly detailed drawings, but I think for PowerPoint it's going to be okay for most people. And again, I'm going to be using online Python, and the website I'm going to be using is Repl. I think I shared this in the first part of the series, or offline Python as well. There's an IDE, a free programming tool called Thonny, Thonny. So you can just Google Thonny and you'll find that program. It's completely free to download. Or you can Google the word REPL and you'll find that, and you can choose the Python 3 option and you're good to go. So part B and C scenario, it says you are a junior employee at a small software development company. Your company recently visited a local college and delivered a guest lecture. The college was pleased with the outcome of the visit and have asked your company to judge an upcoming tournament. The college will be running a tournament for students to compete in a series of events for prizes. Participants may enter the tournament as individuals or as part of a team. It is expected that there will be 4 teams, each with 5 members, and there will be 20 spaces for available competitors. Each team or individual will complete 5 events. Each event will be defined as a team or individual event. The events will vary in type from sporting to academic challenges. Individuals and teams will be awarded points according to their rank within each event. The points awarded for each event are as yet to be determined, so they don't know yet. Also, the college would like to include the possibility of entering for one event only. So that's another thing later on. You have been asked to design and develop a computer program to manage the scoring system for the tournament. And here is all the criteria. So again, this is the scenario I just went over. And this here is the criteria that we have to meet. And again, remember, we don't start from the top. We don't start from D3. We typically start from the P's, or the passes first. And the way they do it, this is assignment B. That's assignment B, and nothing else is, and this is assignment B as well, sorry. So all these 3 are assignment B only. Then we have assignment C, and assignment C. And the last 2, which is always distinction 2 and distinction 3 in some cases, this is going to be assignment B and C. This is assignment B and C. So we have some joint ones, but the main ones are going to be individual things. So what this simply means is that we can do our design fully first, sign off on the design, and then we can move on to the development. So we design first and then develop after. So here I have design stuff. P4, produce a design for a computer program to meet client requirements. And P5, so this is just going over the brief again. So the client brief or the assignment brief that was given to us. These are all the things that we need to do for design. And please make note of D2 here. D2 needs to be in design and in develop. So when I come onto this page here and I say development stuff, D2 should really sit here just above D3, because if I read D2, it says evaluate the final designs and optimize software application. So that means that we design, we finalize it, we evaluate it, and we also optimize the code that we've programmed or written. And again, this is all the development stuff, so feel free to pause it. But again, it's all on the assignment brief. You need to not be perfect. You need to review your designs and your development. You need feedback. So if you sit there for hours and hours and hours and make everything perfect and there's not a single mistake and everything is all great and cozy, The problem you're going to run into is that people won't be able to give you any feedback, because if you are getting feedback whilst doing it and everyone is saying, oh, fix this and fix that, and you haven't been making note of it, when it comes for them to actually give you written feedback that you need to put in your assignment, you're not going to have any. So do not spend hours and hours making it perfect the first time. If it is perfect, there will be nothing to improve on. Your peers will have no comments to give you. So in my version of this, I have told students, listen, have a section in your assignment, in your actual Word document, where you have people comment on things that were not so great. So they might say, oh, I think you should change this or change that or fix this, or there was a mistake there. And then you go over it and say, oh yeah, I'm going to fix that actually, or I'm going to fix that one, or actually, no, I'm not going to do that one because it's going to take me too long. So whatever you deem necessary is okay, but do not make it perfect. I like to say 4-ish people, 4 or 5 people can comment on your work. It can be more, it can be less, but I would say bare minimum 3. But I like 4 and 5 because, again, we're going for distinction level. We want 4 or 5 people telling us different things so we can then either action many things or choose what things we want to action. So again, we have design before development. I will go through all of design first. So I will design everything from start to finish, then move on to development. I'll use Word documents for most sections as I've been doing before. Don't know what this is. I will use PowerPoint for diagrams. And again, you can use other tools because this is assignment. It doesn't have to be PowerPoint. But because I know every school will have PowerPoint, I might as well show you guys how to do it with that. And PowerPoint has all the symbols you'll need. So before P4, so before you even make a start on assignment B, there are certain things that we have to do first. The assignment doesn't say this, but in my opinion, I think it is implied. Because the way this normally works is when you're doing a project, you plan, you design, you develop, then you evaluate and test, right? But they want us to jump straight to design without having done plan. We have to do planning first. And before we can plan, we have to know what people want. So that's what this is. So we have to go over project management methods. So I would do a couple paragraphs on what is project management, what are project management methods, why is project management important, so on and so forth. I will then also go through and say, actually, because I have the requirements and the specification for this project, you're going to choose a project management method, and you're going to also explain why you've chosen that method. What stages are present in yours, or what stages you will use. You don't have to use every single stage, but you need to say what stages are present in that one typically and what stages you're going to use, and I'll explain that again. So for example, I like using Agile, so Agile. Agile is very good for small computing programming projects because you can make changes as and when you need to. You can jump back and forth to fix problems as you go. Documentation is not great because you keep making changes. However, because you're learning programming for maybe the first time, or this is the second program you've written, or whatever the case is, it's good to have something where you can jump back and forth. Versus if you use something like waterfall, you have to stick with what you said from day one. No changes are allowed to be made unless it's catastrophic, unless you're going to completely fail if you don't make a change. All right, next we have requirements and specification. Again, I'm going to go through all of this when I get to my document, but you have to know what is required first. So we have the scenario which was given to us by the college or the school. Those are your requirements. The college says we want a program to be able to grade the games. We want people to be able to enter their names. You want people to be able to be a part of a team. If you're a part of a team, you can do it by yourself. Whatever the requirements are, that's what you list here. Now, the requirements might change over the years. It hasn't changed in a very, very long time, but maybe when you're watching this after 2023, it might change. Requirements are simply what you need to be able to give them, what your program needs to be able to do. And specification, you have specified, or you will specify what is going to be done. So you're being very specific on what is needed, and maybe in some cases how that's going to be done. The methodology typical stages, as I've mentioned before, we have plan, design, implement. So implement is normally the same as development. That's the same thing. And then we have test and evaluate. Now, test and evaluate, I like to join them as one thing because as soon as I test something, I want to know why. I want to know how to fix it and move on. So this is how I would start off my whole thing. So what is project planning, why is it important, what you will do in your project planning. So stuff in here I've mentioned, I'm going to be using Python, I'm going to be using Repl or Thonny, I'm going to be documenting everything in Microsoft Word, I'm going to be using PowerPoint for my diagrams. So everything I intend to do, everything I plan to use, I put it here. So what software, what language, what IDE, what hardware I'm going to be using, whatever laptop I can grab, whatever laptop spec you have or desktop spec you have for your desktops at schools, put it in. It's going to be a couple sentences, and it's going to help beef up your planning section to say, this is what I'm using and this is why I've chosen to use maybe the online version. Because maybe at school, your IT admins won't actually allow you. I've been in a school before where they actually don't allow people to install Python, which was a bit weird because it was computer science. But maybe using the online version of Repl is going to be perfectly fine because you can do more or less exactly the same thing. Do you plan to test? And what kind of testing are you going to be doing? And here we have after planning, we can only move on if we have planned each stage. So let me go back once. The stages are plan, design, implement, and test. So the planning stage is very obvious. This is where we speak about everything we're going to do later on. So in the design phase, what are we going to do? So maybe I'm going to do pseudocode, I'm going to do flowchart, I'm going to talk about whatever design features I'm going to be using. In the implementation stage, I'm going to be using Google Chrome, I'm going to be using the website called Repl, I'm going to be using Google Drive, I'm going to be, whatever thing I'm going to be using here, that's what I put for the planning section. The planning section will have test and evaluate, implementation, and design. And for the test and evaluate section, what do I plan to do for my testing? Am I going to do white box testing, black box testing? Am I going to do a combination of both? Whatever you decide is best. As I've mentioned before, the criteria does not have anything on planning, but in my estimation, in my opinion, this can be assumed because again, it's planning, designing, development, and then we have test and evaluation. So there's no way we can jump to here without having done planning. So I would do a planning section. So you plan and then you design. That's it for this one. In the next video, I'm going to set up my Word document and show you how I would go about answering each section to make sure I have everything I need to then start P4. Again, this is all before P4. This is pre-P4 stuff. Good luck.